I bounce off the trailer hitch onto the pavement, yelling in my head, "Stop!" And at that point, the trailer ran over my head and my neck. And that's where I popped out of my body. And I see a figure move out of the golden white tunnel. And that figure moves toward me very quickly. And he's wearing a white robe, the long hair. And I recognize him right away as Jesus Christ. Here comes Christ. And I recognize him right away. And I flew to him. I just flew to him because I missed him terribly. I didn't even know that I missed him. Whew. Until I saw him. Until he was there in the flesh, so to speak. And I flew to him. He wrapped his arms around me. And the first thing he said to me is, "It's not your time."
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. It's where we blend spirituality and practicality to help you live a life of purpose and joy. We have Sharon Sananda with us on the show today. Sharon's a psychic medium, channel, author, and hypnotherapist who, after 2 near-death experiences, unlocked the ability to leave her body at will. I'm curious to find out what she learns while communicating with Jesus, angels, ascended masters, and other beings. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your family and friends. Now, let's go chat with Sharon. Sharon, welcome to the show. I'm so delighted you could join us today.
Oh, well, thank you, Julie. It's my pleasure and an honor to be here.
You have had 2 near-death experiences, my girl. My heavens. Tell us about them. What happened?
Well, I didn't remember the one when I was a child until after the one I had in 2001, which was actually the catalyst for me, for my awakening, I guess you can say, spiritual awakening.
Uh-huh.
I lived in San Antonio, Texas at the time. Now I'm in Oregon. And some girlfriends and I went tubing down the Guadalupe River, New Braunfels, Texas. And we had a really good time, really good. I'm going to do this quick. Really good time on the river. And then we went to get back on the shuttle bus, which was a small school bus, holds 13. But they're like, come on, we'll drive you back to the outrigger, where our car was parked and where we got the inner tubes, and they shuttled us down to the other end of the river, that kind of thing. So we piled on with a bunch of other people. And we were packed on like sardines on this little bus. I was at the first one on in our group, so I was standing with my back to the emergency exit door. And as we're driving down the road, and it was a 4 on the floor type transmission, as he's shifting through gears, we're kind of thrown back and forth, right? Because it's pretty jerky. I'm thrown into the emergency exit door, and it pops open, and I fall out. Yeah. I know. And I'm thinking at this time, I can't believe I'm falling out of this bus. And things just kind of happened in slow motion because I remember every bounce, basically. So I bounced off the trailer hitch because I forgot to mention that the bus was pulling one of those utility trailers where we were hauling our ice chests and our inner tubes and things like that, medium-sized utility trailer. And so I bounced off the trailer hitch onto the pavement, and it was like 100 and something degrees outside, and onto bounce again underneath the trailer, or again I'm under the trailer. And I'm thinking at that point, I'm yelling in my head, "Stop," as loud as I can in my head. "Stop, you're killing me." And at that point, the trailer ran over my head and my neck. And that's where I popped out of my body. So I knew, obviously, that that's what was going to happen. But he didn't hear me. So, I can joke about it now. And my friends have always, I joke too, that it just proves that I'm pretty hard-headed because I did survive it. I'm here, obviously. But however, I popped out of my head. I mean, yeah, through my head, out of my body. And I was looking down at the scene, and I saw my body, in the road. I had absolutely no attachment to my body. I realized at that moment, all right, well, I died, and this is what we do many, many times. I've done this many, many, many times. I was thinking about me. I've done this many, many times. So it wasn't a big deal for me. However, as I was viewing my body in the road in this split second of time or whatever it was, I see this big bus, one of those big commuter bus driving toward my body down up the road. And I'm thinking, I hope that bus doesn't run over my body because that would make a really big mess. But I did, but I didn't see my body as me. I knew the observer was actually me.
So your body had rolled out from underneath the trailer at this point.
He kept going. He didn't know I had fallen out. He didn't know, even though people were screaming. This is my friends told me later. Were screaming, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" And then finally, he did about 2 blocks up the road.
Oh my!
Yeah. So, so I thought about, at that point, I thought about my friends too, that they were gonna have a really bummed out day because we had a a really great day on the river. It was 5 girlfriends for a girlfriend's birthday. And I was thinking, here I go and die on them. That's what I was thinking. This is really gonna put a damper on their day. And moving forward, because it was my friend's birthday, we were celebrating her birthday, and I was thinking all these things. This is I felt sad for them, but it didn't make me want to go back. It did not make me want to come back. And then at that time, I was also thinking about my partner at the time, ex-partner now, but that it would be hard for him. And I could see him sitting on the sofa, and I could see this timeline where he's sitting on the sofa, and he was grieving and upset, but he would be fine. And I thought about my sister, who I'm very close to, and she has a family, has a couple boys, and I was thinking about her, and that was going to be really rough for her, but she'll have her family around her. And then I thought about my mom, who I kind of took care of. She lived just down the road from me. And a few years in 1998, this is in 2001, June 11, 2001, when this happened. In 1998, my stepdad passed, which was the first time I had lost anyone close to me, and we were very close. And that was a huge catalyst for me as well. And I started having out-of-body experiences, sleep paralysis, and things like that. But as soon as I thought about my mom, I felt the presence behind me, and I turned, took my attention off of the earth plane, the earth reality, and there was my stepdad standing there. Yeah. And it felt really, really good to see him. And again,
did he raise you? Did you think of him as your dad?
Yes, from the age of 13 on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I was really happy to see him. And he says to me, "It's not your time." That's the first thing he says. "It's not your time." I said, "But I want to stay here with you." I argued with him a little bit. So I want to stay with you. And so we had this telepathic conversation that he was telling me that my mom needed me, that she would transition soon, and I needed to be there for her to help her, these types of things, and that I wasn't finished. It was telepathic. And as we're communicating, because I kept saying, "I want to stay here with you." As we're communicating, I felt to my right a movement, and a tunnel opens up. I see a tunnel. I turn and I see a tunnel. I call it the ancestor tunnel because that's who I saw within that tunnel were ancestors. Some I would recognize here, and then some that I wouldn't recognize here, but I recognized at that point. And I knew who they were. And they didn't really have a joyful look on their face, like a celebration, like welcome home, which I knew in my mind I was used to because we have a celebration when it's our time. I know this from working with spirit as well. And and I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess this is, Dad was right. I'm not supposed to be here. And I start to move toward it though.
Was the tunnel dark? Was it light? What did the tunnel seem like?
It wasn't light, bright light. It was more like a blue gray, that color, like almost like your beautiful blouse there. That color is how I saw it, like a blue gray, that color. And as I start to move toward it, I'm being drawn toward it. I see another portal or a tunnel behind or beyond that one. And my gaze moves from that tunnel to the larger one that looks like a sun. It's bright, beautiful, bright light, golden white tunnel or portal.
Was it inside the blue tunnel, or was it next to it or above it, or
It was
where was
behind it, I guess you could say. There's no space there to really grasp onto where I was anyway. It was more behind it.
So you had to go through the blue tunnel before you could get to the white tunnel?
I don't feel like I was going through the tunnel. I may have
Okay.
been, but it didn't feel like I was.
But
Yeah.
but in order to do it, you would have
In
needed
order
to go through the blue tunnel to get to the white tunnel?
It could be. I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, it could be.
That's what I'm picturing in my mind's eye. So
Yes,
I'm just checking
it
on
could
that.
be. It could be, definitely. Uh, as I'm gazing at this tunnel, the sunlight tunnel, my attention is off of the ancestor tunnel. Okay, is what I remember. So I'm wherever I'm at in that space, and I see a figure move out of the golden white tunnel, and that figure moves toward me very quickly, and he's wearing a white robe, the long hair, and I recognize him right away as Jesus Christ, as Christ. Now, I will say I was raised Catholic, but I was not a good Catholic. I, for me, I was spent some time in Catholic school. Our grandmother, my sister and I, our grandmother raised us for some of our childhood life, and she was very staunch Catholic. And we were like, this isn't, we didn't resonate with the judgmental teachings that she tried to instill in us. So, God's watching everything you're doing, and don't do this and don't do that. So it just felt very judgy to me as an adult. And so, not that I didn't feel there was some powerful being, and I didn't feel that Christ was real. I do still, I did. I just didn't, I felt like he was out of reach. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that, okay, the saints and everyone that we were taught, they're out of reach, and we have to go through some kind of a priest or something like that in order to reach them. So I didn't really have a spiritual center. I was a partier. That's what I did. I kept down a job and I partied on weekends. Sometimes during in Texas, where I lived, you went and drank beer and you two-stepped. That's the way of life. So that's what we did. And so here comes Christ, and I recognized him right away, and I flew to him. I just flew to him because I missed him terribly. I didn't even know that I missed him. Whew. Until I saw him, until he was there in the flesh, so to speak. And I flew to him. He wrapped his arms around me. And the first thing he said to me is, "It's not your time." But he was there and he had his arms around me. That's basically all I needed at that moment,
What a gift.
Yeah. And he says, "It's not your time." And I say, "Well, I want to stay here with you." And he chuckles. Best sound in the world. He chuckles and he says, "I know. It's not your time." And then I look up, he lifts up my chin to look into his eyes. And this was so remarkable. And I see his eyes look blue to me. Okay. And I realize that as I'm gazing into his eyes, that I'm seeing the universe, the light and the love of the universe through and within his eyes.
Wow.
Yeah. And at that moment, I am reflecting the light and the universe from my eyes. Our heart centers begin to merge. So he's merging with me. I was able to do that at that frequency, apparently. Merge me, my non-physical body, that frequency or that body, astral body, whatever you want to call it, higher plane body, with the light and love of the universe, or what he was bringing to me, whatever frequency he knew I could handle. And so we became one. We merged as one in this blissful state of being one with source, with love. I don't know how long I was there. So we're still there, right? I'm still there. We're still there.
And are
Yeah.
you seeing your body still, or your consciousness is not on your body at all? You're just all in the middle of the Christ consciousness.
Yes, I'm in the middle of the Christ consciousness. I'm in that blissful state of
Okay.
being one with source love, and I feel like even though I didn't have a body, I feel like that if I did have a body, I was smiling. I was smiling so wide that it would break my face because I didn't have a body, but it was just I felt like I was a huge blissful smile, just pure joy, pure love. So I was in that for I don't know how long, like I say, still am. But I heard him call my name, and I came back to my body, my avatar, and he to his, and he asked me if I would like to go on a journey with him, and I agree, of course. And he puts his hand out, and I take his hand, and I like to express this part because it's so profound for me. When I took his hand, it was so intense. I felt every crevice and every line in his hand. It was extremely intense and extremely visceral, more physical than it is here. And I equate it with our senses here are like wearing a glove over our human senses, our body, or like wearing a glove that he was able to communicate to me the intenseness of just holding his hand, and that visceral feeling was extremely intense. And so as soon as I take his hand, and this is all happening at the same time, we're flying through the universe. I see stars and colors flying by. And then I see off in the distance a blue orb or portal. I realize it's a portal, and we dive through that. And then I see another orb, and I realize that this is actually a planet, or a planet. And we hover, we move toward that planet, and it's a blue green, like a turquoise colored planet. I imagine like maybe Earth would look like. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful orb. And we're hovering above the planet, and I realized right away that this is a home planet for me. It's a water planet. It's an ocean planet, and it is somewhere that is deep in my soul that I remembered, and I felt a connection starting to happen or waking up within me with the planetary mother, the planet herself, which came to me as the mother of all the beings on the planet, all the sentient beings on the planet. We're hovering there. And at that point, as she and I are communing together again, I become her. I realize that I'm able to be in that space of connecting with the planet, the body of the planet, and understand what that is, and I had this immense love for every single being on my body, my body as the planet, from in a tiny single cell amoeba up to the largest whales or whatever. I had so much love and so much care for every single being on my body. And then I was able to move my consciousness from being the body of the mother of the planet to the smallest, all the way up and down to where each being on the planet, sentient being or anything, had just as much love and care for the mother. So I've learned so much from this. The aftermath was very incredible. That we don't love our bodies here. don't love our bodies enough, and this type of thing. And it was so much love that was from, the planet, the mother, to each being, and so much love being transmitted back and forth. And I know that Earth loves us very much, and so she was, I don't know how to explain it, but the beings on the planet, I believe it was fifth dimensional. The planet is what I'm feeling. It was a fifth dimensional in that space. The beings knew and were so in love with the planet herself that they could not love themselves as well. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
So Jesus is here with you the whole time when you're going through all this merging with the planet and feeling the love for all the amoebas and the every being on the planet and all of that. And what was Jesus doing? Was Jesus just by your side watching you experience all of this? Or do you think he was experiencing it at the same time, or was he orchestrating it, or both?
Yeah, I could be all of the above. I was too in the moment to pay attention to him, and I believe that was the gift. And so is that I needed to be in that experience fully. I know that he called my name again, which brought me out of the experience again. Yeah. And then we dived down onto the planet together. Yeah. And dove into the ocean, into the water. And I was reunited with my family in the on the ocean, on the water planet, in the ocean.
Your family that was from that planet, from that lifetime.
My family that is in that lifetime now, in just another frequency, just another reality.
Got you. Not
Yeah.
necessarily your ancestors that you saw in the Blue Great Tunnel.
No.
Okay. I got to ask you a question about Jesus's
course.
hand, because you brought it
Yes.
up.
Yes.
And then I want to hear, what happened. Obviously, you survived the NDE because we're having this little
We're here.
chat right now. Yeah. Were there nail holes in Jesus's palms?
Mm-hmm. No, there were not.
There were not.
There were not. Yes. And you're not the first person to ask me that.
I'm not.
No.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that.
Sure.
Okay. So then what happened? So you dove into the water. You saw your family from the planet. Did you ever hear what the name was of the planet or where it was?
Yes, I got the name Opus.
Opus.
In our language. Yeah.
Where is Opus?
I believe it's in the Syrian star system.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Mm-hmm.
I love to hear that. I love that saying. Okay. All right. So then what happened?
So then I'm reunited with my family, and I realize and remember that I have a mate, I have children, and I, I have parents. And so I'm communing with them, and as I'm being reunited, I'm starting to forget Earth.
Mm.
And it's emotional for me to talk about it because I kept going back there afterwards. And Yeshua told me that. I call him Yeshua. Christ told me that I could go back there in my meditations if I wanted, because I didn't want to leave, because it was home for me. And
It
so
felt more home than Earth felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not that I don't love Earth. I do. I see this as a mission. And that's why a lot of us are here, because we're on a mission, and that we have other home planets that we resonate with more, perhaps. Not that Earth isn't a beautiful planet, because it is, but this realm, I guess you could say, this dimension.
Yeah. So then what happened?
Okay. So then, again, I don't know how long I was there, but this is what he explained to me, is that I started to forget Earth. And he brought me back to the awareness of Sharon rather than the awareness of the water being. And he told me it's time. And I said, okay, all right, I'll make a deal with you. Okay.
Oh, good. You're bargaining with Jesus. I love this.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll go back, but you have to promise me that I will know you completely, that you are with me completely and all the time in a tangible way, and you will guide me, and I will know that you're guiding me, and I will be able to talk to you and just know that you're there, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, okay, deal. Then I'm back in my physical body in the middle of the road in New Braunfels, Texas. And I jump up and I run to the side of the road. Mm-hmm.
Before the tour bus comes and runs you
Before,
over.
yes.
Yikes. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my friends, the bus finally stopped. My friends gather around me, and I'm bleeding from my ear. I'm the ambulance comes to take me. I'm in shock, basically. So we sit there and wait for the ambulance. It comes to take me to the hospital. They do x-rays and MRIs and all that kind of thing. The blood from the ear was because part of my ear had been ripped off. And so they glued it back together, or it was just dangling. They glued that back together. I had no uh, damage, nothing broken, nothing like that. I do have a little bit of nerve damage in my neck, which causes a little bit of a wobble. And I have to maintain my back, my spine to make sure that it's free flowing type of thing. Yeah. But other than that, they released me after 6 hours. And I was, I was in bed for quite a while because I was hurting so bad. But yeah, I do believe that the he healed me and my body by that merging with him in the light when we merged together. I believe that I took that with me, and that helped me heal my body.
Mm-hmm.
And the trip to Opus, my water planet, the water planet was a gift that he wanted me to take with me because I was going there a lot afterwards. They had to keep bringing me back. But yeah.
Wow. Wow. What a story. I'm laughing to myself thinking, yeah, she's negotiating with Jesus something. And okay, what kind of collateral do you have if he says no? You're negotiating with, with the price consciousness, and he's probably going, yeah, yeah, whatever. But and it's so funny because my spirit guide's a dead pope. And early on, I used to argue with him about that I wasn't gonna do stuff he was leading me to do and all that. And now I look at that 10 years later and I think, "Really, Ryan? You're negotiating with the dead pope who what kind of leverage do you have?" I felt like I could walk out of the meeting, you know? Oh, it was so funny. Which we do have a choice. That's the free will thing to say, "No, I'm not doing that," which I did, but he kept bugging me, my spirit guide, Pope Clement. But I'm kinda laughing about that. I love that. Did you have psychic abilities as a small child? Were you able to see spirits and other beings?
Yes. Yeah, as a child, I'm trying to say, I would see what we call dead people. Yeah. And it scared me. And the one that really scared me the most was and when my grandfather passed. He lived in the house and he died in the middle of the night. And my grandmother said, "Your grandfather died last night. Let's go to church." And it was kind of like, oh gosh, okay, well, that's strange. And I was so young, I didn't really understand what was going on. But one night I'm laying in bed and we slept on the second floor, and I see something tells me to wake up, and I look across the room and there's a window there, the second story window. And I see my grandfather floating outside looking in the window. And it scared the you know what out of me. Even though it's my grandpa, it scared the you know what out of me. And so that was the one that really did it for me, the one I remember the most. I remember seeing spirits. I remember seeing like shadows, that type of thing. And I also had premonitions of things that would happen. Um, so I shoved it down because my parents or my grandmother didn't understand it. So I just pushed it down because it scared me and nobody understood it or could explain it to me. And so, yeah. And then I partied as an adult. I drank, did drugs occasionally, that type of thing.
Mhm. So when your stepfather passed, that was really the catalyst to let you understand, all right, there's really more to the equation here than meets the eye?
Well, yes, I needed to know when he passed. I needed to know what happens when we die because I we were very close. I wanted to know and to know that he was still viable, that he didn't just disappear, that type of thing, that he still lived a life and he was still around. And so I started reading everything I could get my hands on about the afterlife. And my sister actually recommended the book We Don't Die by George Anderson. And I read that and it blew my mind. I'm like, this makes sense. We don't just go to heaven or hell or get stuck in purgatory. That didn't make sense to me. So I thought, okay, this makes sense. He's proving to these people basically that we do still live beyond our bodies, and
Mhm.
we want our loved ones to know that we're still around. So I read every book I could get my hands on. James von Prague, all the John Edward, all the popular people back then. And then I started having sleep paralysis episodes out of the blue, and I didn't know what they were. And
Tell us about those.
okay, sure. That's when what it is you wake up in the middle of the night or any time, and you're paralyzed. You can't move, you can't speak. You feel like there's a presence in the room. You feel like maybe somebody's sitting on the bed with you or sitting on your chest. And it's extremely frightening. And I felt like there was someone floating in the room, uh, a spirit in the room with me. I was try to scream. I couldn't move. And then after a little while it would go away. But I was having those on a regular basis. And I came across something on the internet 20 something years ago. This wasn't a really, I couldn't talk to anybody. What the heck's going on here? I thought I was dying. I really did. I thought I was dying. There was an article that talked about out of body experiences or astral projection, and that sleep paralysis, and I didn't know what it was called, but sleep paralysis can be a gateway for leaving your body and all the benefits of astral projection. And one of them was that you can find your loved ones on the other side because you're actually projecting into the afterlife or the higher planes. And I thought, oh, it made so much sense to me. Okay, it put, things were just clicking into place. So I began studying about out of body experiences because I wanted to find my dad. I thought, okay, this is a good way for me to find my dad. Even though I felt him around and things like that, but I needed to know. I needed to know for sure that he was still viable. So I began studying about out of body experiences. All the gurus back then, Robert Monroe, William Buellman, Robert Peterson, all the ones that the masters. And I taught myself, and I'm very dedicated. I'm very committed to something I really want to do. I taught myself how to have conscious out of body experiences. And within about 6 weeks, I was projecting. And after about a month or so, I did find my dad. Yeah.
Where'd you find him?
Well, it wasn't aware. It was I projected, and he comes out from behind a building. He just walks out. I'm kind of standing there because a lot of times you don't know where you are. You're just kind of, oh, okay, well, here I am. And he's wearing a yellow zoot suit because he was born in the 20s. He's got the hat on and everything. Yeah. And he told me, I love you. And I said, I love you. And then he was gone.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I said, "Where is he?" I mean, I knew he was in heaven, he was in
Oh,
spirit
right.
form, but was he in, like, a scene? And you answered my question that he came out from a building.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. Right. What frequency maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. When you do out of body experiences now, and you say you can do them on demand whenever you want, do you need to be asleep to do them? Do you do them consciously? Tell us how you do it and what do you experience?
Yeah, there's a couple ways you can do it, and that's in the hypnopompic or hypnagogic state, which is my favorite state. And then
Which is
there's
what?
the
What does that mean?
that's the like the twilight state when you're just waking up or you're just falling asleep, or you can turn a lucid dream into an out of body experience as well. And because you're not the lucid dream is the subjective reality, whereas an out of body experience would be an objective reality. So you can, as long as you become conscious and aware that your body is in bed and you're in the um, uh, out of body state or the dream state, because we're actually going within, we're not going without, but that you are aware that you're out traveling, that your consciousness is traveling, and you can turn that into a what we call an out of body experience. And so I also believe in sleep paralysis. I'm so glad that you did that study on there. You did that research because there's so much bad information out there, fear mongering, and I believe that spirit maybe that I was perceiving might have been my astral body coming back in.
When somebody wants to have a lucid dream, can they, before they go to sleep at night, say, "Hey, mom, let's meet in Tahiti," and your mom's spirit's in heaven, and then you dream about being in Tahiti with your mom? Is that considered a lucid dream?
It's lucid if you are conscious that you're in the dream state. Now it could be a visitation as
Right.
well.
How do you tell
Yeah.
the difference?
A visitation is normally extremely real, like where it's like you're here or even more real than in this reality. Whereas dream is more dreamlike state. But a visitation or something that your guidance really wants you to remember is more real and tangible.
I say it's in high def. The
Yeah,
colors
there
are
you go.
more vibrant, the
Totally.
senses are heightened, the sounds are more intense and sweeter if that pertains, but it's like high def. I
Yeah.
agree with
Which is
you.
an out of body experience, basically.
Mhm,
That's what it
mhm.
is yeah, where we disconnect and we disconnect from our physical senses. That's why sleep paralysis is so, if we don't understand it, is so unnerving for us because we're not connected with our physical senses. Our consciousness is not we're disengaged, not engaged in our physical senses.
Can you give us an example of when you wanna have an out-of-body experience? What's your technique? How do you initiate it? And then do you have an intention of what you wanna experience or explore, or you just think, "Okay, tonight I'm gonna have an out-of-body experience and let's just see what happens?"
I try to have an intention. I almost always do, because it helps you with focus, and focus is really, really important for to have a practice. So what I do is I'll focus on having an out of body experience throughout the day, write it down, journal, always journal, and journal your dreams. That helps you bring the memory back. Focus and memory are so important. Then I'll do the exercises of for me. Now there's different exercises that work for everyone, but for me, I use the exercise of imagining that my astral body or my non-physical body is creating movement, like jumping up and down, swinging on a swing, something that feels like that you can imagine is movement. And a lot of times I'll wake up where I'm swinging on a swing or jumping up and down on my bed, that type of thing. I also suggest listening to hemisync or binaural beats on a regular basis because it helps bring the right and left hemisphere in together, and you have whole brain synchronization, and that helps tremendously. That's one way. Affirmations constantly that you will have an out of body, or you're going to have an out of body experience before you go to bed, however you want to word it. Read about it, that type of thing. Just because we have to reprogram our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. First of all, we have to reprogram our conscious mind to not be afraid of it because there's so much fear, and that's the biggest deterrent.
Is it possible to have an out-of-body experience while meditating as well as while dreaming?
Yes, that's called the direct method. The one that I prefer is the indirect method where my body's already relaxed. Now your body has to be completely relaxed in order for your consciousness not like out, you're disconnected from your physical senses during meditation and that's called the direct method. I've tried that. I normally just end up falling asleep rather than leaving my body. Although I have phase in and out. But some people do teach that method, and where you can direct, have that type of an experience where you consciously leave your physical body, but you have to be completely disconnected. It's not a mental projection. You have to be completely disconnected from your physical senses, disengaged, even though you're always tied to your physical body through the silver cord. But your physical senses are disengaged, and you can go off and do whatever you want to do. And having an intention helps because the biggest the biggest challenge with having an out of body experience or projection is to stay out long enough because the average experience is from a couple seconds to maybe, if you're lucky, 5 minutes, which is a long time over there in the higher planes. So if you have intention and you're focusing on your intention, then you have a higher chance of staying out. Because once you get out, I mean, it's pure joy. I mean, you can fly. You don't have the heaviness of your body. I was hooked. First time I was hooked. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is what I remember. And that's who we really are. Yeah. And my first epiphany was when I was walking away from my body in my bed, and I felt a nudge to turn around, look at my bed, and I did, and I saw a body laying there in the bed with blonde hair and the covers up to here, and I thought, "Who's that laying in my bed?" I'm like, "I don't know who that is." Oh, and then it hit me, "Oh, that's my body.
Why, that's
This
you,
is
Sharon.
me."
Why,
I
that's
know,
you,
right?
Sharon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
But
it.
it was huge for me at that point because I realized, because we identify with our bodies, that I'm not my body. And I actually looked at my body like a bag of bones kind of thing. Yeah. And I knew that this light right here, this consciousness, this pure light was me.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. You communicate with angels and ascended masters.
Mhm.
How do they differ, and do they offer distinct types of guidance?
Uh, okay, you mean differ between angels and ascended masters?
Yeah, like an angel's an
Okay.
angel and an ascended master.
Oh,
What's the difference? They're both spirits. And do
gotcha.
angels advise you on one thing and ascended masters advise you on something else?
Yes, I believe they do, but I'll also believe that they can help us in anything that we ask them to help us with because they have that frequency and they know and they can see all around. But angels have a different frequency than ascended masters to me because that's how I'm able to recognize them. Angels have a very fine frequency, especially archangels, very fine, high frequency. Now, once you start working with them, you recognize them already because they're all part of us anyway.
What does that mean? They've got a high frequency. Does that mean that they feel light and fluffy, or they feel
Sorry, they vibrate faster. So you might even be able to hear the like a ringing in your ear, or not a ringing, but a high
like a
frequency in your
buzz?
ears when they enter your space. Your body might start to tingle, that kind of thing. I'm already feeling it as I'm talking about it, and that kind of thing. So they have a very a higher frequency. Ascended masters have high frequency too, but they walk the planet, and so they have a different type of frequency where they were embodied on the planet, and it's a everyone, as you know this, I'm sure, Julie, that everyone has their own frequency, right? Their own frequency, and so once you work with them, you'll be able to recognize their own signature frequency.
Right. And I teach that every spirit has their own frequency,
Right.
and every angel and every guy, ascended master, and they all have their own frequency. And in order to get in touch with them, all you have to do is think of them. And
Totally.
then that connects our head to their frequency. And then it opens up a two-way communication.
Yeah, I
Thanks
call it a
for
telephone call.
exactly. Well, it's like a two-way radio thing
Mhm.
is how I think of it. Remember the old
Yeah.
walkie-talkies?
Yes, there you go.
It's kinda like that. What is soul retrieval and how can it help someone?
Okay, so soul retrieval has helped me tremendously, and I've seen how it's helped so many people. What it is when we've come to this planet many, many times, and to experience all there is to experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. And in the higher planes or inner planes, we don't see it that way. We just see it as challenges, and challenges help us with soul growth. However, in this frequency, it's kind of heavy here, and we kind of forget, I guess you could say, or sometimes don't realize it. Well, since we're infinite anyway, the time doesn't matter, but that emotion can get stuck in a really challenging experience, and that's why I came back so many times. But and I believe this is what the Catholics call purgatory. Is there's a part of us that part of that our soul gets fragmented, that is still stuck or still in that loop of emotion, of pain, whatever it is, sorrow, guilt, um, whatever the emotion is after they died or we died, we're still stuck in that emotional experience. So we don't bring that into the whole. So it's like pieces of the puzzle. So what soul retrieval is we can go in. We used to know how to do this. We just forgot. It's kind of shamanic work too. I guess they say going into the underworld. But what we can do is go into our records, go into ourself, and find anything that is fragmented. They do this type of work in modern day psychology, retrieve or integrate parts of our personality in the here and now. We just don't look at past lives or other lifetimes. But what we do is we choose to repeat these experiences in some way so that we can be triggered in order to heal it, bring it in. And so when we bring that part of our soul in, we become more whole. We're bringing pieces of the puzzle in and we become more whole. And we don't have to repeat that. We don't choose to repeat that anymore.
I it's interesting because 'cause we're saying the same thing just in a different way.
Mhm.
When I'm doing a healing on somebody, I always am looking at what I call the energy field membrane, and that's the container that holds the energy that makes up our body and our spirit. Because any kind of energy, if it's gonna be used for a specific purpose, needs to be in some kind of a container. The water coming into our house comes in through pipes. The
Mhm.
electricity comes in through wires. That's the container that's having that energy be available to us, if you will. So when there's a rupture in this energy filled membrane that feels like really thin, stretchy saran wrap to me, it's caused by an energy block. Energy blocks are caused by some emotional event, either in this life or a past life. And I would say probably 40% of the time it has to do with a past life. And I'll envision going into that hole or tear, and I'll be given where it was, when it was, what happened, and we'll correlate that with what's going on in the person's current life. And it's been my experience, Sharon, and I'd love to hear your take on this, that there will be, and I think this is what you're referring to, that there will be a semblance of a script that will repeat throughout multiple lifetimes so we can explore and experience it in different ways, different time, different gender, different country, different language, what's happening in the world, different set of circumstances, same basic script. Is
Mhm.
that your understanding as well? Are we saying the same thing? Once we illuminate it, it eradicates it, allows the energy filled membrane to heal, allows the body to go back to working on full power, helps the body regain and maintain health. I wasn't taught this. This came in from spirit for me. And I believe it's the most important part of a healing. Is that soul retrieval? Is that what we're doing?
It sounds like the same thing, just a different name. It's a different way of describing it. Yeah, totally.
Interesting. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I've never heard anybody else do it this way, and like I said, I do it with everybody when I have them on an hour private consult. I don't have time to do it on my show, but when I've got somebody as a private client, we're doing the energy field membrane healing because
Yeah.
we can fix body parts all day long, but if we're leaking power, what's the point?
Right. Yeah, that's incredible. I love that. I love hearing that because it's so important. It's really important work and to bring in these unhealed parts of ourselves. And Christ is the one who taught me or helped me remember. And we're
Yeah,
just remembering, right?
right.
And yeah, it's super important work.
I
So
use the
thank
I
you.
use the analogy with people on the healing the energy field membrane. I said, imagine you're taking your car in because it's not running, and the mechanic says you need a new radiator. So you get a new radiator in your car, but your car's not going to run because you got a dead battery. So it doesn't matter that you got a new radiator, right? It's like fixing body parts when you're still leaking power. You got to fix the whole thing in order for the healing to work. Because
Hmm.
if you can't start your car, it doesn't matter if you have a new radiator. That's just kind of a crazy example that I've come up with, but I think it makes sense.
It's
My
true.
clients, yeah, my clients seem to as well. So I think it's fascinating how past lives really can affect us in this lifetime, and we have no clue that
Right.
that's going on, that that's a little theme that's playing in the background, and we're not cognizant of it at all.
Right. And I think the hardest thing for maybe for people to grasp, and it was for me too, is that we choose this. We choose to come back and experience these experiences like my childhood, for instance. Why in the world would I choose an experience where I was being abused by an extended family member over and over type of thing? And Yeshua gave me this exercise. And I was also putting past lives together with it didn't just happen here in this lifetime. It was from other lifetimes where I asked this family member to to create this experience with me where I would because the idea is for in a past life experience is that we choose to close that karmic loop within that lifetime. We choose to experience both sides of the deal. Like in this one lifetime, I remembered that my mother and I were region and we were throwing Christians to the lions kind of thing.
Oh,
And so,
jeez.
yeah, I know, right? And so I saw this in a lifetime. And so the gentleman the family member that I asked to come into that lifetime to help me with this and just experience it with me, married me as the daughter, and he wanted to take over the throne, and so he ended up throwing my mother and I to the lions. So that was the karmic loop was closed, but I got stuck within that experience. So I asked him to come back with me, lower his frequency so low that he was really a bad guy, and quite a few lifetimes where I didn't remember I didn't heal it. I didn't remember the trauma. So in this lifetime, Yeshua asked me to do a forgiveness exercise where I just see him in front of me in my meditation and say, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. And I didn't really realize I hadn't forgiven him because I didn't remember it. But saying that over and over and over, and then it hit me one day in my meditation where because as I was looking at him, this family member, he got this big smile on his face and beautiful, beautiful face, and I felt so much love from him, and I realized, "Oh my gosh, there's nothing to forgive." I asked him to come here and do this with me. I don't have to forgive him for anything, and that was so freeing for me, and it made me realize that the people that we have the biggest, challenges with, I guess you could say, are the ones that we're the closest to in our soul group.
Well, and it validates too that all spirits are pure love, because this guy was pure evil when he was beating you up and abusing you as a child, but his spirit now is pure love, and he was playing a role, like in a
Right.
movie,
That
to
would
help you expand your spirit, and And I agree. Does this make sense to our human minds? Absolutely not. Will it when we get back to heaven? Yeah, I believe
Mhm.
that it will. So I just say, is it feasible? Yeah. Do I understand it? No. Okay,
Right.
I will at some point. Couple of
Yeah.
questions, couple last
Sure.
questions as we're winding down here. You
Yes.
say we're light in nature. What do you mean by that?
That it is light that animates our bodies. We channel God's source light, that golden, uh, golden white light portal that I saw Yeshua come out of was the manifestation of source as I saw it. And how I understand it and what makes sense is that we are electricity, basically. So we are light in nature that animates our physical bodies, animates everything, everything. Yeah. We are light collapsed into material form. Um, so when we have traumas and pain and things like that, and you look in someone's eyes and you don't see their light, is because they have these layers of pain covering up. I mean, it's still their soul. Hopefully their soul is still there, but our soul gets covered up with the pain and the traumas and things like that that we've carried over, and it covers up our light. Yeah. So the more healing work we do, the more our light can shine because we are source in expression, expressing through our physical bodies, which is light and love. Light carries information. Love is who we are, what binds us.
Great explanation. Last question, why do we incarnate?
What I understand is we incarnate to heal what we haven't healed before and what gets in the way of us expressing and being who we are, which is love and light. So that's our goal, is to be our true selves. Remember who we are, and that way we can be God's expressing God through our physical bodies.
Beautifully said. My goodness, girl, you are you're a walking miracle. You have lived they talk about cats with 9 lives. You're like a cat personified with all these experiences just in this lifetime that you've been through. And certainly, it's fabulous to hear how you put all the pieces of the puzzle together of your life, and you can see at this point how you have been and are being led to
Mhm.
help others and to not only heal yourself, but in doing so, helping others heal themselves as well. So kudos to you to put this information out there and to have done such a magnificent job of piecing it all together and spinning it into a positive thing instead of retreating into a cave someplace and saying, "Oh my gosh, I just don't want any more experiences. Thank you very much." So, thank you for all of that and for being willing to share this with all of us today. How can people learn more about you and your work?
Oh, well, thank you, Julie. My website is SharonSananda.com, SharonSananda.com. And I am a psychic medium, hypnotherapist. I do past life soul retrieval, that type of work. Help people connect with their spirit guides, their loved ones on the other side. And I love my work. And I also have an academy where I and others teach metaphysical courses and classes and do all kinds of fun stuff.
Wonderful. We'll put all of that in the show notes too.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, everybody, we've given you much to dissect here. You may need to watch this one several times because there's so much information that we've covered. And in the meantime, we're sending you lots of love from Sweet Home, Alabama, mwah, and from Oregon, too. where Sharon is. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. To enhance your spiritual journey, click on one of the videos below and remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your family and friends.